shouldn't be hard. Life should be a fun-filled adventure every day. So now start joining up dots. Tap into your talents, your skills, your God-given gifts, and tell your boss, you don't deserve me. I'm out of here. It's time for you to smash that alarm clock and start getting the dream business and life you, well, of course, are dreaming of. Let's join your host, David Ralph, from the back of his garden in the UK, or wherever he might be today, with another jammed-packed episode of the #1 hit podcast, Join Up Dots.
Yeah, good morning to you, and welcome to the Join Up Dots podcast. Now, today's episode is based from a message that has landed in my inbox. That's what the kids say. My emails have landed in the inbox. I don't know, do people email? Do youngsters email anymore? Or is that old fart thing? It used to be letters, then it was emails. Is it texts, voice messages? How do youngsters do it now? Because my kids seem to be on their phones all the time, but they never seem to open their mouth. And they just seem to be whizzing around with their thumbs all the time. Do people only communicate with their thumbs? Let me know. I'm a little bit out of touch on it. Anyhow, this one landed in my inbox from a guy called Darren in Nottingham. And it was a simple email. It wasn't one of those sort of big dramatic ones that we've had over the last few weeks about my life is falling apart and I'm depressed and all those kind of things. He just wrote to say that he feels busy all the time, but nothing ever seems to get finished. And I think most of us will know that feeling. And certainly at times it's a lot more prevalent than at other times. But you have days, don't you, when you start with good intention and you've got a plan in your head, and maybe you've gone to bed with that to-do list, and then by the time evening rolls around, you feel like you've been doing stuff non-stop, but you haven't really done anything at all, and the big tasks are still there, and the medium ones are still there, and strangely enough, the little ones are still there as well, and what the hell have you been doing? But you've been busy all day. And what Darren said, he said something that really caught my eye. And he said that every day he tells himself he'll deal with the quick things later. And what does he mean? Well, he means later on he'll reply to that email. Later on he'll send that invoice. Later on he'll book that appointment. He'll tidy that desktop or whatever. And of course, later never really turns up. And when I read that, I kind of smiled to myself because, well, I've been there and we've all been there. And the strange thing about those tiny little tasks, those 5-minute jobs, is if you take the mantra of join up dots, all the little things build up. They carry far more weight in our minds than they do in reality, but they also make the biggest impact on our lives and our business. But they sort of sit there quietly in the background. Now, what's the problem with this? This is where you start to create friction in your life and you start to feel out of control because you might be working on something important, but your brain knows there's 20 tiny unfinished things hovering around. Because the trouble is the brain doesn't really separate big tasks and small tasks the way we think it does. Unfinished is just unfinished. It just kind of registers on our brain and it drains our energy. Now, somewhere along the way, and this was many, many years ago, and I'm not brilliant on this. Sometimes I'm really brilliant on this, and then sometimes I'm not, and then sometimes get back onto it. But somewhere along the way, I stumbled across a simple idea. And when I say simple, I mean sort of laughably simple. If something takes 5 minutes or less, just do it. Yeah, it's that simple. Not later, not after the big thing, not when you're in the right mood. Just do it there and then. So if you're sort of like walking along and you go into a room and there's things that need to be tidied up, just tidy up because it only takes a second. And then, people leave things on the stairs and people walk past them. Kids are great at that. They can walk up and down stairs and not see anything that's sort of piled there. Just whiz it up. Get it out of the way. Bang. Because the strange thing is, once you start doing that, something really unexpected happens. Your day becomes lighter, and it's not because you're doing less, it's because you're ticking off these things. You're carrying less unfinished weight. And I remember years ago when this really hit home for me, I was recording podcast episodes for the Join Up Dots podcast. You might have heard of it. And the show was growing really quite quickly. And with growth comes lots of admins and lots of emails and stuff and lots of little bits and pieces. And I was dealing with guest confirmations and emails and audio files and artwork tweaks and all those kind of things. And most of those things take a couple of minutes each. And what I used to do, and it seemed sensible at the time, was batch them all up. And I'm still a great batcher, but I say to myself, right, you deal with that admin later. We'll do all those later. And later turned into a pile. And the thing about piles is you kind of you ignore them. And 2 days suddenly meant that little pile of stuff actually felt like a job in itself. And that's when you start looking at it and thinking, oh, I used to be like 3 months ahead of Join Up Dots, so I could just walk away from it and that. And then I've got into a habit of actually doing it the day before or actually on the day, because you kind of look at it and think, oh, okay, I've got 3 or 4 of those to do. I'll just do one. Now, this is when your brain starts resisting it, because now it isn't a 5-minute task anymore. It's an hour or maybe 2. So you avoid it, because you do, don't you? And because you avoid it, it grows again. And that's when you suddenly start to find your productivity slipping away. It's not through laziness, but it's just through delay. You're allowing those small tasks to build up to something. It's like ironing. We all do ironing. We're not rich people that have people to do our ironing for us. Now, I'm a great believer in just, if there's 3 bits, do it. Bang, done. And my wife says, oh, what's the point in getting the board out just for that? And I say to her, because just for that means it's an empty basket again. And she says, oh, just leave it up. And then she looks at it and goes, oh, I've got 3 hours of ironing to do. I go, see, if you've done it in little bits, it'd just be easy. Little tasks mean little effort, okay? And it's as simple as that. Little tasks mean little effort. And if you're just doing these things and all these little things that are hanging around for days, bang, it's just done. And you just feel relaxed. You feel, just calm. You just go into that room, and instead of there clutter all over it, you suddenly realise that room feels much calmer, because you've just done those 5-minute tasks. And you can apply this to the big projects as well, the big breakthroughs. But I think the key thing is focusing on the small things, because that's where the resistance really hides. It's those small little things, that quick email you haven't sent, that document you haven't dealt with, those things that take 2 minutes but sit there for a few days. So what I want you to think about is, how many things do you go, yeah, I'll do that in a minute. Oh, I'll send that message later. Or, yeah, I know there's only 2 bits of ironing there. Boom. And I'll do that later, because this is where you start to realise that you're dragging things around with you that you don't need to. And that's the trap that Darren is probably in at the moment. And maybe a lot of you are as well, because we tend to treat small tasks as things that can wait. But they're actually the easiest wins available to us. They're the friction removers. They keep the runway clear. And when those sort of quick jobs get handed and dealt with straight away, that's when you build momentum, because you're clearing the decks all the time to then tackle the big things, okay? So all you've got to do is just, if you look at something and think, okay, I'll do that later, ask yourself, why don't I just do it now? If it only takes 2 to 5 minutes, just do it. Yeah, just that thing that's been sitting in the lounge, just pick it up and put it where it needs to. Nothing complicated. Just deal with life while it's still small, and you will find that your productivity and your momentum absolutely rockets. And it's as simple as that. It really is. So that's my recommendation for Darren. And that's my recommendation for anybody building a business or dealing with life's hassles. Just do something small and then do another thing small, and then you'll find that life becomes easier and easier. So let me know. Drop me an email, joinupdots@gmail.com. Tell me, have you chosen something to do? Did you do something? Did you walk up the stairs and think, yeah, I'll just put that thing away? Whatever you did, let us know. joinupdots@gmail.com. Would love to know. Or if you're brave enough, come over to the website, joinupdots.com, and just leave a voicemail. You don't have to leave your name and that. Just tell us what you did, and we'll play it on the show to build other people's productivity as well. Love voicemails, but hardly anybody ever does it. But if you do, drop us a line, and we'll share your knowledge and your productivity mastery with the world. Okay, very short show today. You look after yourselves. You stay sexy, of course. And until next time, we will see you again. Look after yourselves. Cheers. See ya. Bye-bye.
Got a question in your inbox about your business and your bright sparks. Let's join up dots and find the way to make your online dreams come true today. Yeah, let's join up